I'm David Marsh.
I'm Gayle Marsh.
Welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
Hi and welcome. I'm so glad you joined us. We are in Costa Rica and we figured we would have a conscious communication of conversation, and we figured we would share with you some of the things that we've been doing.
So here we are. We're in Costa Rica. You can see it's beautiful. We've been house sitting for a guy, and it was kind of a crazy story. It's been a fun adventure.
I need you guys to understand this is a conversation in which Gayle is talking about manifesting. she says to me, I want to do traveling. And I said, fine, if you want to do some traveling, find some places to go, but it has to be affordable within our budget. It has to be something that we can afford to do. And so your challenge then was to find something that you could do, and you accepted that challenge, and you literally manifested this Costa Rica trip.
I did. It was awesome. You know, I had a friend who is actually going to come and house sit here for 2.5 months, but the total time was supposed to be 3 months, and he couldn't do about 3 weeks of the trip. And so I was in my meditation, and it's kind of like, well, if you want it, go ask for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to travel. I could just go ask for it. So I went down and I asked him some more specifics, and Dave's sitting there over at the side, and I'm like, finding out a little bit more. 3 weeks, that's kind of a stretch. We could do that. I know we could do that. And so I look over at Dave and I said, well, what do you think? And what did you do?
Are you kidding me? This is incredible. You manifested a trip to Costa Rica. We have a place to stay. I was like, okay.
Yep. So it didn't cost us any money to stay here. And I went and found the plane tickets. And lo and behold, I had like $500 worth of airline miles. So the trip only cost us a few $100s to get here, and then just money to stay and live here, which was actually way less than what we would have spent at home.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. We'll get up in the morning, we'll have our eggs and potato breakfast or something like that, some fresh vegetables, some tomato, maybe some cucumber, maybe some fresh pineapple, and then we'll hang out. And we'll spend our day doing some personal development, some meditation. I've been doing a lot of music writing, and it's been inexpensive to be here. And the adventure that we've had is to go downtown and to explore the little community here. It's close to the Panama border, and it is absolutely jungle. We are not in a city. It is not a resort. We are in the jungle, that's for sure.
But come on, it was even more exciting than that. So we get on this adventure. Of course, we get into Houston, where we're going to fly out to San Jose, and our plane flight gets canceled. And we're like, okay, here we go. Adventure begins. Let's see where this is going to ride. So about 5 hours later, they finally found another plane and got us to Costa Rica at, what, 2 in the morning?
Yeah, it was 2 in the morning. It was really late.
By the time we got to the hotel, it was like 2:30 in the morning. Got to sleep about 3 a.m. in the morning, and we were supposed to take a bus the next day at 8 a.m. There was no way. We could not get up.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking the bus at noon. So we had to get a hold of our host, tell him that, hey, you know, don't have the guy pick us up until after we get back at the later bus ride, which the bus ride down here was, what, 8 hours?
It was about 7.5 hour bus ride, yeah.
And on the way, you could just, like, there are at least, what, 3 spots in the road where you could just see from the rains, half the road was completely gone.
Washed out.
And so we're on this big, nice bus going on these 1 lanes with these big washed out roads. So then we get here, finally make it here at night.
It's dark. We're here. We're supposed to contact a guy. And so we activate our cell phone in a different country on the AT&T plan, and we call the guy. He doesn't speak any English. I don't know how to speak Spanish. I know a few words. I somehow convey to him that we are here. We need to go to our friend's house. He knows about it. He sends another guy that picks us up. We get to our friend's house.
No, wait, you got to describe the vehicle he was driving.
Oh, yeah. It was probably a 1985 Datsun pickup truck. And it had an open rack
with the wood racks.
Yeah, so
you know?
I didn't know if they were transporting animals in there or cargo boxes.
But we threw our bags in the back, and I squished in the middle between Dave and this other guy. But he was so sweet, so kind.
Everybody's been really nice. No one speaks English, and I only know a few words. I know enough to convey some of the things that I'm trying to accomplish. That's about
Along with a few hand gestures, and
yeah,
we get it. We get by, right?
Yeah. No, we've been making it work. So we get here and we find out that our host was bitten by a poisonous snake earlier in the day. And fortunately, when we arrived, he was not dead, because that was an actual reality that he said could have happened. That would have been tragic.
He didn't want to go to the hospital. Yeah. He was convinced that his body could heal this on its own. However, he was supposed to fly out the next day. Well, that didn't happen. He ended up staying for a whole entire week, while his foot looked like this huge club, and every day wondering if we were going to have to send him to the hospital, hoping his foot didn't go necrotic.
Well, he's a tough guy. He's a mountain man. He's used to doing homeopathic natural remedies, and there's a fruit here that's really high in vitamin C. It's called amatakoya, and he ate about 10 of those, and he feels like that neutralized the venom that was in his body and put him on the healing path.
And so, not only that, let's see, what are all the things that we did? Dave and I did Reiki on him, yep, which was really cool, because his, like up to his leg, like up to here, I think you can see this, it was completely hard and red. And by the time that we were done doing Reiki, the redness and his leg started softening, and you could see it going down his leg.
It was really cool.
It was really cool.
I know. We literally were like, wow, we're watching your leg go, and we were just using the visual images and the energy and just moving that venom out of his body.
So that was a super miracle, just to watch his leg be so receptive and literally to be hard, and then it like softened up. It was really neat.
That was cool. And
then I researched out some Ayurvedic techniques for snake bites. And so we incorporated some of those that had to do with like tobacco and garlic. And we just kind of, any kind of tool that we could find to like treat his leg, we did it. And within a week, he was ready to fly. Yep. He could actually put his shoe on, never had to go to the hospital.
He made it out and on his way to his next destination.
Yep.
So that's just the fun part about how we got here, some of the things. While we were in Costa Rica, it was our goal just to kind of decompress, just to find that space where we could do some personal development, some meditation, some reading. We brought lots of books with us. Do some things that were kind of just personal development, some time to just get away. And I realized how important the synchronicities are in our soul journey of just finding space where your soul knows what it needs. And so we were able to find a space where we could just come and just kind of have a recharge of the soul.
There were some really neat revelations that we had. There were a couple of books that we chose to bring with us. One of them was Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav.
And the other one was Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. Man, oh man, have we had so much fun reading those books.
Yeah, it's kind of like I would finish one, he'd finish one, and we'd swap books. Yep. And so I had two intentions that I decided to set for this trip. And one of them was to find clarity, because I'm in a transition time in my life, and I know there's like this next step in my soul's journey, and I'm like looking for those clues and kind of riding this journey and like, you know, where is it at? And so I had to get quiet. And so that's why I treasured this trip so much, is because I could finally go someplace and just shut out everything else. And good. It was, I mean, it's been awesome. I mean, look at where we're at.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And a little shout out to Mary Godfrey. I was looking for creativity, and together we found our rhythm and cadence. So Mary was a guest a few weeks ago, and that clarity, creativity, and cadence really did fit the theme of what we came here to do.
It really did. Yeah. And that was interesting, because David's trying to upload her show, by the way. Internet here, really slow. We're talking like 1 megabyte download and about a 0.5 megabyte upload.
Yeah, it's pretty tiny.
So we were trying to do shows, and it would take like 3 or 4 days to upload it.
They had to upload Mary's episode, and I started on Sunday night, and by Thursday morning I had gotten it uploaded to YouTube, but I could not get it uploaded to Facebook, so that's what happened.
And then Thursday our internet went out.
Gone.
4 days.
Yeah.
4 days. We can't figure out what to do. We're trying to call the internet guy.
And all
no
we wanted to do was
oh.
just to upload a show. It's not like we needed internet, but we needed it as a tool. So we're like, ugh.
Yeah.
So we came here to unplug. The irony is, but yet we still needed to have the show uploaded. So we're like, what do we do?
And you know, I look back and I actually saw it as a total blessing because it forced us to unplug.
You're done.
I mean, we couldn't do work.
Yeah.
We couldn't upload anything, and it was like, okay, this is it. This is how you do it without the internet.
Yeah.
You know, Facebook, no emails, no calling, nothing.
Well, living without the internet is one thing, but we were without water for Thursday and Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
That is not fun.
That was a lesson we learned too. Apparently, the water tower here goes empty.
Yeah.
And if you don't know this and you hear this big honking coming by, it's the city water truck to give you extra water until it fills up.
So there's a dirt road and the water comes into the house, but it's at a really slow trickle, and so he has a storage tank. And so I figured out where that was. I looked at the lid. The storage tank was empty. We're like, oh, then we have to wait for the city water to come back on. Fortunately, we were able to make it through, and we did get water. And but it's just another challenge of living in the jungle.
It was, I mean, we were like running around with chickens with our heads cut off. What do we do? Calling people, trying to contact people.
I went to the neighbor and tried to talk to them in Spanish. They're like, "You are crazy, man."
We're like,
and then they're talking to me in Spanish. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
And by morning, it was back on.
Yeah, fortunately, it came back on. But this whole thing, this whole journey of our personal growth and personal development has given us that opportunity just to sit there and be in a quiet space. So yeah, I recommend if you can get away into a quiet space, absolutely do it. It is phenomenal. It gives you that ability just to disconnect and find that quiet, that voice within. And that voice is your intuition, and that is your spiritual download, and you can hear it. You know, I feel it in the center. Now I can tell, yeah, I should, or no, I shouldn't. You know, and the more you begin to listen to that, the stronger it is.
Yeah.
And you've really had those powerful intuition moments where you'll go into a meditative state and you'll be there for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, and you'll really hear that, and then you'll get like spiritual wisdom that comes to you.
Yeah, I do. I'll get some downloads, and it was neat being here because I could go into that state and not have to think of, okay, I've only got this much time before I got to go to work, or this, or you know, all the different things that regular life has. And so it was neat to be in a space where I could just go meditate, and whenever I ended, I ended.
Yeah.
It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could be 2.5 hours. It was awesome.
And we also got to work on our yoga practice while we
Yes.
were here. That was super fun. We are wrapping up yoga teacher training, and we had the opportunity just to get into the practice, get into that state, that breath, and just to really work through that as we're getting ready to do our yoga teacher practicums at Sweha. Shout out, what's up? And so we're excited about that. But just finding that space, it's really important.
Yeah.
Just to find that quiet space. And you know, it could be getting away is so good because we've gotten away from the routine, the regular things, the day-to-day things that we need to do to make the world go round for us, and we just got to be in that calm quiet. We could take the time to read, and if I want to read a book for 3 hours, I have that space.
Yeah. It was funny because we kept getting from friends and family, so what kind of fun things are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And we're like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
This is what we want to do, is not do anything.
You know, people are like, what? You didn't go to the amusement park? Well, first of all, there isn't one. Second of all, we just wanted to have that just beautiful, quiet time enjoying the jungle.
Yeah. Like, we are Gilligan Island it here.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's pretty intense.
We have a few more amenities maybe, but it's pretty darn close.
Yeah. So one thing that's really important to me is to discover who we are and why we're here. And I've really been so happy to read Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls, Michael Newton, that he does hypnotherapy, and he keeps hearing the same types of things over and over again from people when they're in these deep hypnotic states where they're like, yeah, I was a spirit. In spirit world, I was a soul, and I chose to come here. I chose when I would be born. I chose who my parents were going to be. I had a spirit guide that decided, hey, these are some things your soul wants to accomplish. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
And then I teamed up with other people in my soul group, and I said, hey, will you come to Earth and be a person that plays a character in this game that I'm going to play? And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, Dave was like, oh, you got to read this. You got to read this. You got to read this. And I was able to read it. And there were some really fascinating things in there. And I love how he got down to the detail of, like, you're in there, you're preparing, you pick your body, you kind of know what it's going to be like because you got to experience it a little bit. And then you go into, like, practicing, okay, these different things are going to happen at these different times in your life where you're going to get, like, a little bell that goes off that you're supposed to go down this pathway.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool because then I started thinking back on my life and all of those different times where those things have happened. And it was really fascinating.
Yep.
Like, even how we met.
Even the chemistry story.
Yeah. So I was taking a chemistry class at North Idaho College, and so was Dave.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, what's
Right?
up?
So I had this friend, Donna, and I said, hey, you took this class last semester. Do you want to sell me your book? Or could I borrow it? And she said, yeah, sure, no problem. So she gave the book actually to Dave and told Dave, hey, give this to my friend Gayle.
Yep.
She's going to be wearing this little red and black checkered jacket. That's how you'll know who she is. And so
I'm sitting in class, in chemistry class, and I see this cute little blonde-haired girl walk in, got a checkered jacket on. I'm like, hey, are you Gayle? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, Donna told me to give you this book. So she's like, oh, okay. She starts to leave, and I go, hey, there's a seat right here if you want to sit next to me. Boom, two souls get to meet in the reality of the three-dimensional world.
yeah. And so now we actually celebrated our 29th anniversary.
29 years we've been married.
And so one of the coolest things that we read out of Gary Zukav's book, he talked about spiritual partners.
Yeah.
And that's, Dave and I are that to each other.
Yeah.
We are soulmates. We are spiritual partners. We're able to be there to kind of, like, one of us will get a little bit of something and we kind of help the other one up to understand that, and then it goes the other way.
You know, what's important about that is not that we're codependent on one another. We've co-shared our journey together, but you are a soul that has your own development. I'm a soul that has my own development as we continue to develop into the fullness of the oneness of the all. But you have your journey and I have mine. And so I used to feel that we were in this codependent stage of our lives. You know, I think we spent the first half, well, you know, a lot of time.
Maybe 28 years, okay?
We spent 28 years in codependency where I felt like, oh, you know, we have to do everything together and we're da-da-da-da. But now I realize, oh, we had the opportunity to share an experience. But now I'm here to support, empower your journey, whatever that is. If that journey is continuing with me, awesome. That makes my life really happy. I really like it when you're part of my journey. But if your journey is different, there's less fear involved when I'm here as your spiritual partner. Because if you had a different journey that didn't include me, I would still be able to support you in that. Even in maybe my three-dimensional world, I wouldn't like that. And I hope that's not the case. But the point is that we're here to empower and support one another. It's a different dynamic.
It's like you kind of go into a different mindset where you realize that there's a bigger picture here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the coolest part about that idea, what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know where things are ever going, and you don't know where things are ever going. I mean, we plan on, doing life together.
Yeah.
That's our plan. But it opened our eyes to really realize there's a bigger picture out there. There's a soul development that we came into this life for, and you get to ride that.
Yeah. It's not just simply you're born, you do some stuff, and you die. Hey, your life's over. There's some cosmic judge that determines if you're good or bad, if you go to a good place or bad place. Yeah. That is not the paradigm. After reading Journey of Souls, I realized and many other sources. It
Yeah.
wasn't just that. I've done a lot of research in the last few years. I realized you are a spiritual soul on this cosmic long-term journey. And this little incarnation, if you live here 100 years or whatever, that's a very small portion
Yeah.
of the journey of your soul. Many incarnations, many lifetimes, many experiences, some on this planet, maybe some on other planets. And it really opens up that whole opportunity to go, oh, the pressure isn't on for me to get it right. I got to get it right. Oh, I better believe to this belief system. I got to get it right. The pressure's off. You get to enjoy, and
Yes.
journey through life.
And it's so fun if you look at it that way. It's not drudgery. It's because sometimes I admit I get too serious, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. And it seems like message after message that I'm getting is have fun with it.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. So it's like playing Clue. You're like looking for little clues and different things that are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm excited about that. Oh, maybe I should investigate that. See if that's where my path is going to take me.
Yeah.
Paying attention to your emotions. That's something that I didn't really realize. It's like, oh, I am excited about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's intriguing.
That's your internal guidance system, is that emotional thing about do I feel happy or sad or scared, or what is that? Am I angry about? What is that internal emotion? And when you tap into that, you can tap into that intuition and say, which way is it that my soul needs to flow?
Yeah. And so, get over yourself.
That's so good. That's so. One thing that was interesting in Journey of Souls is something I never heard about, is the formation of a soul. And after reading Conversations with God, we're all one, we're all part of this cosmic thing. I've had experiences with ayahuasca ceremonies where I've felt the oneness of the all. Yeah. You've had experiences in meditation where you felt the oneness of the all. And what's interesting about Newton's work is he talks about the formation of a soul, where the energy kind of comes together, and he didn't like have a ABC explain this is exactly how it's formed, but he shows you that people have these latent memories in their subconscious about the soul being formed by the creator or whomever that entity is, and then being nurtured and kind of in a nursery where it grows and then it begins to learn and develop. And that is when our consciousness begins to be aware that, wow, I am something that is separate from everything else. And that's when, boom, consciousness starts to turn on. And so your consciousness then begins to say, well, what is it that I want to learn and grow and experience? And we all have something we're learning and growing through. And so we pick these incarnations, these lifetimes, to come down to this planet and say, I'm going to learn and grow here. And he talks about how intense this planet can be in this three-dimensional world. The duality of good and bad and hot and cold and up and down.
Yeah.
And all the duality of this planet and how it can be a real harsh planet. And people that really want to accelerate their soul growth, they choose to come to Earth. So you are no coward. If you are listening to this,
Yep.
You're a strong warrior and you chose to come here and your soul wanted a journey. That is awesome.
One of the things I liked out of that book is he talks about soul groups.
Yeah.
That was so fascinating.
Yeah.
So, you have these people that you journey with.
Yeah.
And so, all we can do is assume
Absolutely.
that we are in the same soul
Yeah.
group playing husband and wife.
Yeah.
And I know that I've had past life regressions before where I've seen where we've been husband and wife before also. So it's kind of exciting. Again, you get these little clues and hints that kind of drop into your life that shed light on all of these different ideas, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot better of a narrative than a context of where you just get one life and I hope you get it right. It's so much better of a construct to say your life is this eternal ongoing journey and you get to have fun. In my very first ayahuasca ceremony I ever did, the message I got was enjoy the ride. You probably heard me talk about it if you listen to this show at all, but enjoy the ride is literally what we're here to do. And that is what I think this whole thing's about. So You get to play. You get to experience. You want to go to Costa Rica? Find a way to manifest that. Go to Costa Rica. If you want to find something else in your life, there is a way to do it. You are not a victim. You are not, your circumstances don't dictate who and where and what and how. Yeah, there's things you have to, I have a gender that I identify. You have a gender you identify.
Yes.
You have a height that you are, we have things that the color of our eye. I mean, there's certain things that this body houses that you are in. But man, what I've learned is you are not your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts.
Yes.
You are not your body. Your body is the vehicle by which your soul gets to grow and develop and experience this journey. You get to make the choice of what your life is going to be. Stop being a victim. That's what I'm learning. Quit being a victim. And I feel like the religious context kept me in victimhood. I was born in sin. There's nothing I could do. I was unworthy. I'm a victim. And so somebody else had to do something for me to be clean and holy so I could be with the divine. That perpetuates victimhood, and that's what I'm so now passionate about, is stepping out of victimhood into empowerment, because that's why we're here. We're here to journey and to grow. And man, there's no hell that you're going to go to. There's no place of being judged. And when you get to the afterlife, you literally sit down and you get to look at your life and you get to judge your own life. Did I accomplish the goals I wanted to? Did I get to do what I wanted to do? That's what the judgment is. It's so much more beautiful than the narrative some of us have been given. And I'm glad I had that construct. I'm sure that's...
Oh, absolutely.
I probably wanted to come here and say, you're going to be in this closed-minded, fear-based, faith-based construct, but then someday you're going to go, whoo, and set free of the cage, and I feel so free. I have so much joy. Oh my goodness. I used to study about how to have joy in that context. I am so full of joy. The fear is just going away, and the enjoyment of life is present. And that's why I can be in a space like this and go, I'm just going to sit here and enjoy this. This is beautiful.
Definitely. I think that the fun part of his story about Enjoy the Ride is how that gets reinforced all the time. We'll be reading a book or looking at something on the internet, and Enjoy the Ride pops up.
Literally, someone will say, enjoy the ride. I'm like, that's the thing. That's my thing.
So it's like these constant reminders. Oh, Mama Aya is not going to let you forget. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like those always pop up whenever you need a little reminder.
Absolutely. And if you believe in that spiritual connection, which I do, that ayahuasca ceremony is a spiritual connection. Mama Sita, Mama Ayahuasca, the divine, the Holy One, however you want to contextualize it, it's that spiritual guide, your higher self, your spirit guide, whatever that thing is, the godness of the universe is able to give you direction. And how good is it when we think about everything that happens in our life? There's a purpose, there's a direction.
Yeah.
If it's negative, maybe it pushes you this way. If it's positive, maybe it helps you to go in deeper and further. And how good is it to realize that things happen, those synchronistic events happen for your good, for development, for forward motion.
Yes, and that is reminding me of one of my intentions, right? So I wanted clarity. That was what I wrote. I want clarity, right?
Clarity,
so I'm reading Gary Zukav's book, right? And so what do? I get to a chapter and it talks about what clarity is. I'm like, okay, that's pretty bold and right out there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to read you.
Maybe you give a little insight upon what this material is.
This is my journal. Don't you love it? It's my jungle journal.
It's a jungle journal.
My jungle journal. It's got nice pages.
Hashtag jungle journal.
Okay, so I'm going to read you a little bit of this. So in searching for clarity, I was reading Seed of the Soul and found Gary's definition of clarity. Clarity is the perception of wisdom. It is being able to see and understand the illusion and to let it play. It's being able to see beyond the activities of the personality to the force of the immortal soul.
Nice.
It's being able to understand what is that is stirring to come into being. The health and integration of the personality and the evolution of the soul. It is the ability to recognize non-physical dynamics as they appear within the world of time and matter. It is the understanding the laws of karma and attraction and the relationship to what you experience. It is being able to see the role of responsible choice and choosing accordingly in each moment. I love this. It is being able to see and understand the illusion and to let it play.
Yeah.
That is so, wow.
So that is what we've contextualized this present state that we're in. This three-dimensional, I have a body, I have a mind, I have an ego, I have achievements and desires and things I want to do. We've been able to contextualize that in the fact that this is the illusion. This is the dream state. And I love my yoga hat. I don't know if you guys can see this, but the little dot on the top is the divine oneness of all that is the true self. The little hash underneath of it, this is the Om symbol. The little hash underneath of it is the Maya, the illusion. And below that are the various states of consciousness. The dream state, the conscious state, the subconscious, the unconscious state. And those are the places in which we are currently in. And I love that. This is the illusion. So find a place where you think, oh, I'm real and this is real. But realize this is your opportunity to play, to grow, and to enjoy the ride.
Yes, definitely. You know what's so cool about the Om symbol is we're sitting on the Om symbol right now.
Absolutely. Our host does wonderful tile work.
Here's a picture of it.
Here's a picture. You can see how this tile is ornate, and he's got the Om symbol. It is beautiful, and this is quite an impressive place. I think you saw at the beginning of this video how we've had quite an adventure here. You know, you were talking about soul groups, and that is so beautiful. The idea that we come here and we have other characters that are playing in this game, this stage play, this movie, this video game. There's many different analogies. That's literally what I believe life is. It's this game, this play that we're acting out. And we have other people play characters. And one thing I like about Dr. Michael Newton's book, Journey of Souls, is that when we go back to the afterlife, we sit around and we laugh and we talk about how much fun it is. Did you see how much I cried when you hurt my feelings? Oh, I know, it's so hilarious. I believed that I was this character and you said something that hurts. Oh, just so you know, I know, no harm, it was all fun. Oh, I know. And we just laugh and we joke about how serious we took our roles as these characters. And I've often thought it's like you're in a movie and you're the director of a movie and you're like, okay, action everyone, start your lines. And they do their lines. You're like, okay, and cut. They're like, what do you mean cut? We're not done. We're playing this movie. You're like, yeah, we're just making a movie. It's just a play. No, this is serious. You're like, okay, well, maybe if these characters thought that it was real, it'd make a better movie. So you let them just keep going on. I think that's what's happening here. And I like the idea that we have other characters that we meet in the afterlife or the realm of the reality or whatever you want to call it, heaven or whatever. We have these other characters that we play parts with. And over again, he has interviews with people in hypnotherapy where they're like, yeah, this other character and I decided to come and be husband and wife. Often we'll reverse roles. I'll be the husband and then I'll be the wife. But they kind of tend to have a gender they tend to kind of gravitate towards. And I just think it's really interesting about the characters in the soul groups.
Yeah, I do too. And not only that, it's kind of fun because you then sit here and think, okay, like I have my family, I have my kids, they're probably part of our soul group.
Yeah.
And then you have people outside of your soul group that help you along the way too, like Donna, who helped, connect us through chemistry.
Yeah.
Or, I thought of another fascinating one.
Yeah.
How we got into video.
Yeah.
Was because Dave was doing a project and he needed a video camera, and this lady said, hey, I want to give you my video camera because I'm expecting a better one, so I would like to sew this to you so I could reap a better one.
Yeah.
And that was the start of our business.
Yeah, it was absolutely one of those divine points in time where somebody does something that was supposed to align.
Yeah.
And that set off a whole different pathway for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I knew I had the creativity, but I didn't know about, you know, what it would be to do that. And I had a mentor and somebody helped me along the way, Scott Anderson, shout out. And I was able to find that I really had that knack and I had that enjoyment and that creativity that came from that. And the creativity I've been able to release through video work is something my soul gets a lot of satisfaction. And that's why we're sitting here today, is because I became interested and creative in video production.
Yeah, and so that became a business. And then we're like, hey, Dave's like, hey, what about doing this show?
Yeah.
And
let's have some conscious conversation.
Conscious conversations. Yep. And so we look at, there's another point that kind of changed our life, you know, is being able to connect and meet with all the people and guests on our show.
That's good.
It has allowed us to go in so many different directions and making this such a bigger, brighter, more fun world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really great point. And what's exciting is when you find yourself on a journey of a passion, something your soul really resonates with, then you begin to make connections. And this show, Exploring the Human Journey, has been such a fun show for me because I've been able to interview guests and explore their human journey. I take away so much joy from that and so much information and knowledge, and just getting the opportunity to co-create an episode with someone where they have a thing that they do and I want people to hear about it. I love the feature videos. I love to create the music track for every feature video that I do, unless they're a musician like Mary Godfrey. She's a musician, so I used her track. Or Astarius Miraculi, he's a musician. I used his track. But
Peter, you used the harp track.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Harpmagic.com. Peter Sterling, he's amazing. But the folks that they have a practice or they have something that they've done, part of my enjoyment and creativity is being able to write music. And even as a special gift, at the end of this episode, I'm going to include a little meditation track for a few minutes. I went out at 4:30 in the morning and I recorded the sounds of the birds here in Costa Rica for about an hour. And it was beautiful. The sun was coming up, the birds are rustling in the trees, they were calling back and forth. I figured they were having their own conscious conversations. And I then came back and just made kind of an ethereal meditative track. It has some swirls and some sounds, some ear candy that just gives you the opportunity to hear it and just to be in a meditative state.
Yeah. And if you check out our Facebook page, the Exploring the Human Journey Facebook page, you'll also find he did another piece of music with the rain and the thunder.
The Costa Rican rain afternoon. Yeah, that was fun too. So part of my creativity and the reason I was able just to come here and just to relax and enjoy some quietness, some long lengths of time, is to be creative and use that beautiful gift that each of us have within us. Mine happens to be creating music, but just to use that gift and just let that flow. And that's part of the beauty of getting away, finding a time where you can just be by yourself in that perfect space. And I say by yourself, even though we've been together. You go off to do your thing, I go off to do my thing. We have these large times where we're just able to have that self-reflective time. Yeah. And then we come together, we make some meals, we have some fun.
I gotta admit, so one of the coolest things about our host being delayed for a week is he's a really good cook. And so he taught me how to make my own bread.
Oh, yeah.
I've never done that before.
Yeah.
So I am on about my third batch today of making my own fresh bread. And it's so nice because it's not, you can tell it doesn't have all the stuff in it, like bread you buy at the store. And you can put some good seeds and stuff like that in it, get your fiber in there. And I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it too. Thank you for making bread. I look forward to today's batch. It'll be out here in a couple hours. I'm looking forward
exactly. To it. It'll be good with the spaghetti tonight. Yeah. So it's fun to look at all the little things. Like we couldn't understand why has our guest bitten by a poisonous snake? Yikes. Yeah. Makes you wonder, why in the hell are we here? I don't want to go out there. But you can't live life like that. So all you do is you have to look at what was the purpose for this. Maybe you'll understand it at the time, maybe you won't.
You know, that's a great point, because it doesn't make any sense that he was here for an extra week. It cost money, it took time from his plans, but things happen. Things just happen. And, you know, I'm certainly not here to tell you it's serendipity, everything's going to be good and magical, and everything's for a reason or for a purpose. Yeah, sometimes the reason is that you did something stupid and you weren't thinking about it. You know, I've done lots of stupid things in my life, but there are things that just happen. And so instead of putting a judgment on it, kind of thinking back to yoga class, just observe what it is. Just observe it. Don't judge it. Just observe. How do you feel about it? What is it that you need to learn and grow from? Are you angry? Who is it that's observing you being angry? That's the true self. Oh, so don't get caught into that ego construct, because your ego is not here to be your friend. Your ego is the vehicle in which you get to experience this life. Yeah, it's that characteristic of who you are and what you came to be. But really, who is the inner you? It's the true self. It's the divine spirit. It's the divine soul within. And that's what you want to have connection with.
Yeah, and so I just took away from it. I'm like, what are the fun, cool little things? I got to learn a lot of cooking tips and tricks. And he grows his own, you know, herbs, basil, parsley, fennel, all kinds of stuff out there. And I got to learn how to cook with those fresh and make pesto sauce.
Yeah, I got to pick some fresh basil leaves and some parsley leaves, and you made a pesto sauce. It was amazing.
Yeah, so, I mean, things that I wouldn't have experienced, or I would have, we would have probably had some really boring meals while we were here. Instead, we had some really fun stuff.
Oh, it's so good.
So
it's awesome. Well, the journey of our soul is such that we have put ourselves in a state where, like, I'm open to what the universe has, because I don't think it's an unsafe universe. I used to have this feeling of like, it's not a safe universe, I got to get it right. I don't feel that anymore. It's a safe universe. This is an opportunity for us to play, to experience, to explore the human journey, to have love, to have life, and to enjoy the ride. That's what I feel we're doing. I don't know what will happen next in our lives, but I do know that it's always going to be forward motion, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I've realized is that we are creative beings.
Yeah.
We create. Even in Journey of Souls, it talks about how they would practice creating stuff.
Yeah.
So that is just like our nature.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, if you're not allowing yourself to be creative and be expressive to who you are and finding that soul, what was that sacred contract? What did you come here to do? You know, like I said, it's kind of like a game. You get to unveil the mystery. What's behind door number 1? What's behind door number 2? And you get to create. You're part of that creation, your life. So don't feel like you have no control over it, because you really do.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part, the scary part sometimes, because I think that we're not programmed that way. I think for us anyways, we felt like society programmed us in such a way that we didn't feel like we were in control of our destiny.
Yeah. You felt like somebody else was in control of your destiny, and you were merely a pawn in a cosmic game, and you had to get it right, and you had to be subjective to the divine, or else you wouldn't fit into the plan, and you had to do what the divine wanted. It was a very ego-based construct in that, you know, you had to do it right. Yeah, there was a lot of fear there.
And a neat thing that I took out of Journey of Souls is they were talking about how they're kind of setting up these different things, right? The different clues along the way.
Yep.
So we were talking about the chemistry book, the video camera. Well, what if you made another decision? Well, then they practiced like these other contingency plans in case you went down a different pathway. And so, you know what? It's there, and your soul is going to guide you. You just need to tap into knowing the voice of your soul versus the voice of your ego.
Oh, that's so good. Finding that quiet space, listening to what your soul is compelling you to do.
And so that was one of my intentions coming here, is really strengthening that within me so that I will trust myself more. Because it's important to trust yourself and know that, okay, that's coming from my soul. That's coming from my heart. That's leading with your heart. And that's one thing in yoga, you will hear that all the time. Lead with your heart.
Lead with your heart.
Lead with your heart. So you not only physically practice that in yoga, but that's because they're trying to train you to lead with your heart.
Boom. It's beautiful. Yeah. Not only when you're doing a twist, don't yank your head around. Lead with your heart. Lead your core. So there's that physicality, but that spiritual connection of that's where your divine connection is.
Yeah.
Listening to what your heart, being open to that, having that practice of openness. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And so I think if I want to leave you guys with anything today, that would be what it is lead with your heart. You're going to find where your creation and your creativity will come.
As we close, I would say the one thing that I want you to know and I want you to listen to is your intuition. And I want you to know it's a safe universe. It's not a place where something bad's going to happen to you after you die. After you die, you're going to be like, oh, now I remember. This is my home. I was playing a game. I was on Earth. That's the reality. This is the video game, the stage play, the movie, whatever. This is the place where you get to practice, you get to experience, you get to have a journey of learning new things. Your soul chose to come here. Your soul chose the day you were born. It chose your parents. It chose the type of body that it was going to have. Newton talks about the Ring of Destiny, where it's these giant screens. You can literally step into it and play the character of you. Play what it would be like to be who you are. And that is something that I find is beautiful, is learning to love myself. That's something I want you to take away, is love yourself. You chose to be you. You chose who you are. You chose your personality. You chose your body. You chose to play that character. Love yourself, whoever, whatever, no judgment, accept who you are. And if you want something greater than what you are doing or where you are, you can have that. And that's the beauty of this human journey. You get to experience, you get to explore, and you get to enjoy it.
Become childlike. Get a childlike curiosity. Become curious about your life.
Beautiful.
It's clues all around you. There's things that are happening for you. And look for those. Have fun with it.
Oh, I love it. You told me that the other day, and I said I was never curious in life because I was told this is the way, this is the only truth that there is. There was no point to look for another truth because I was told this is the only truth. And when you live in that system, well, why be curious? Why have wonder? What does it matter? It doesn't. Well, now I've learned, have wonder, have curiosity. Beautiful. Thank you for giving presence to that.
Yeah. Awesome, right?
High five.
Woo!